what's happening everyone? Pragmatic Addict here. So this episode's trailer wasn't nearly as hyped to me as episode 3's, but a lot of that hype for episode 3 was because it really looked like it was building into actually bringing in the clown, which we didn't entirely get. We got a couple of silhouette figures that looked like they may or may not be Pennywise, but with how that episode ended, and with this being officially halfway into the season or so now, I was just as eager to see this one. And also, I have enjoyed these episodes personally more and more. I was excited to see episode 4. Now that the episode has released, let's talk about it. So what I'll say first is, from the get-go, this episode feels like this season's the most. From the opening scene finally showing us that iconic shot of this season's Losers Club riding through Derry on their bikes. Now we just gotta wait for this one and this one, to the kids actually referring to the Bowser's character in this season, Clint Bowers, to actually Bowers. And with that, really showing him come into being more of an actual villain now. I like that those two things came hand in hand with this episode. To what happened with where the last episode left off, Will, which is again Mike's eventual dad, really showcasing that exact personality that feels like it would be Mike's father. Like the smarts, to also being the one out of the club, to suggesting, well, what I would do is look into further lore as far as gathering more evidence, gaining more understanding about what they saw in those pictures. Which also leads to me wanting to talk about Will's parents in here, Charlotte and Leroy, where Mike's passion and lingering for Derry really stems from. As in this episode, we do also see the character of Charlotte, but also Leroy, but particularly Charlotte, really come through, which I was really happy to see. I've always liked her character throughout the series, but to really see her come through in this episode, going so far as actually being someone who's getting involved with like what's going on with Derry, where she's definitely onto something doesn't feel right. We've even seen that earlier in the season, and just this first episode of her really like showcasing that, just seeing how much she actually gets to do throughout the episode. I was really happy to see them not like react like the typical shitty parents or just shitty adults in Derry, where they are disregarding everything that Will is saying. They're kind of blind to everything like the other adults because it is Derry and it's run kind of by Pennywise, which makes perfect sense because unlike all the other adults in Derry, they are newcomers to Derry, so Pennywise doesn't have that grasp on them, at least yet. But also, again, this just felt great as far as further family history from where Mike stemmed from. It just felt right, it made a lot of sense. And with this exciting character arc for especially Charlotte, this made me think further about something. What is going to become of her? Because again, in It Chapter 1, we see Leroy in there, but we know nothing about Charlotte. She's not mentioned, she's not there, so I'm really curious about what is going to be her fate throughout this series. Also now, something I picked up on in the beginning of the episode, but also something that came in and out throughout the episode, was, so going back to the intro theme, how I said a couple episodes ago, that it really seems like the only thing that could really be showcasing is teasing stuff that will eventually be shown in the series. Well, there's this projector scene in this episode that even from like the specific shots definitely replicates a specific thing that was shown in the intro theme. And with this coming in and out, I thought that this could be where the episode was eventually going to end off. Like maybe we would see Pennywise in his full form in this, or just more of like tease at Pennywise. But I'm just gonna say that isn't where the episode ends. But with this being shown in the intro theme and this being in and out throughout the episode, I would not doubt at all if this is gonna be continued to be showcased and eventually having a big bang, maybe at the end of the season. And that's what I really liked about this episode, is that it was much more focused on build-up. And not just build-up, but this far now into the season, pretty much teasing everything that we could want to know, want to see. Mike's family background seems to be going into some really interesting, really exciting directions. We also get a little more tease at Halloran's background, which was introduced in the previous episode, which I was saying that I was hoping to see more of. We also see some colored airmen finding an abandoned spot and fixing it up, that I can only theorize is going to be the eventual Black Spot bar, as well as finally seeing the first glimpse at Pennywise's arrival, which I want to say, not really a glimpse. I was actually surprised with how long this sequence went on for, and I was happy that we got to see that finally, obviously. I didn't have too much issue with the storyline. I especially like the conclusion. It actually went into a lot of detail about questions that I've had regarding this time frame and like his arrival for quite some time. But it was the way that this sequence was delivered, the narrative aspect. I did find it a little bit janky, but also the effects in this sequence, as far as like the forms that we see Pennywise taking, I did find it very underwhelming. But also just in general, that leads me to talk about my biggest flaw in this episode. The effects, CGI in general in this episode, 100% the worst CGI effects use I've seen in it so far. Which is funny because throughout the series, and especially like with the last episode, I saw a lot of people just talking about how the effects CGI throughout it and everything have not been the best. This is exactly what people were really looking at. And this is really unfortunate because I'm just going to spoil a little bit. This comes into a scene where Marge finally gets her comeuppance, which I'm not going to spoil how that goes down. But with that being something obviously all of us have kind of been looking forward to finally see that come in and just have it be like the worst effects use yet. But also how this sequence wraps up, it was very hit and miss for me because how it wraps up, it was very uncomfortable to watch, not just because of the effects, but because of like where it actually leaves off as far as Lily's character. But I will say, like, and I'm not going to spoil that either, but like I will say with that being said, on one hand, it also makes you further anticipate what's going to happen with Lily's character. But even more so, which I haven't really felt this yet, but especially with Marge, I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with her character going forward from here. Is she going to drop the patty cakes now? Is she going to finally get her shit together and realize what a scumbag she is? And if she does drop the patty cakes, are they going to start going full force on bullying her like we have seen teased in the season so far? And if that is the case where they are bullying her, I wonder if Pennywise is going to use that as he comes up displaying everyone's specific fears. And it does seem like Marge's specific fear is not being accepted by these girls. And lastly, going back into how much, again, was really teased in this episode, how much this episode really builds up. The episode ends on something that I was very much looking forward to seeing the return of. And again, I won't spoil what that is, but I will say, I can't wait to get into that trailer reaction for that episode right after this review. And overall, I'm going to give this one a positive review. So guys, that does it for my thoughts on episode 4 now of Welcome to Derry. So right after this, again, we already have the trailer for the next episode of Welcome to Derry. Now this one, I saw the title of it, and it was called the mid-season trailer. So I'm guessing there are going to be 8 episodes. Some sources have been saying 9, some have been saying 8. I'm guessing it's going to be 8 now. But I'm very excited to see that trailer. As much excited as I was to see the episode after seeing the trailer for episode 3. What are your guys' theories and what are you guys hoping on seeing going further in the series? Let me know, guys. I definitely look forward to seeing you guys very soon in episode 5's trailer. Take care.